I feel like taking some dancing lessons this morning. Ready to run guns? Time for blast off. Let's go. Morning, Bassin Butts. Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Dancing Lessons. Some of you guys remember these? The Quantum Build Dance Class rods. Got a whole bunch of them behind me here. Got the whole collection of them. Naturally, why wouldn't I? These are actually really good rods. I mean, they're beautiful rods in the sunlight, man. The blue and everything. IM6 blanks. I'm not a big cork fan, but you know, I haven't used these in years. I just had them sitting on my rack in the shop. I was collecting, and I started thinking I'm just gonna start using them. So I have all these paired up with naturally with Daiwas, and there's Millionaire CVs back here on the other ones, and the line I'm using today is either Trimax or Tournament Strength Photochromic, which was out at the time these rods come out. And I actually haven't used this line since I was fishing tournaments, so I'm really curious to see how this all works out. It's going to be a soft plastic day. Everything's soft plastic, and I'll go through it as I go along. The first one I'm going to be tossing around down here. I actually came all the way down to the dam this morning, but I'm fishing a lot of the shallower stuff before I start getting to the deeper water. I got a little 4.5 inch sluggo in black ice, and I got a very small little weight right here behind the hook, so it'll help that thing sink a little faster than normal, and I can keep it down in the brush. So let's go on with this, and I'll discuss the other baits as we go along. Alright, so number 2 we have tied on is a baby D-bomb. Not a baby D-bomb, just a regular missile baits D-bomb, 1/8 ounce geeker rig. This gives it not a super fast fall. It's controllable, you can feel it, but it's not a very super fast fall. And I've got this, like I said, the Millionaire CVs, and we'll try this for a little while. Alright, so the next bait I'm trying today is a Missile Baits Destroyer. This is on a 1/4 ounce tungsten swing jig. Yeah, I'm just out here playing with stuff today, trying some soft plastics that I really don't mess a whole lot with, or haven't in a while. And I've got a good steep rock bank, goes all the way down to the dam, so yeah, I figure I'd try some of this stuff, because like you guys, I'm trying to simplify everything, figure out what I'm actually going to carry and what I'm not going to carry. So why not use my vacation time, do a little bit of fishing, which I've done quite a bit of so far this time for the first time, and just try a bunch of baits that I've been wanting to throw. Okay, well, now I've experimented with this stuff for a little while. It doesn't take me very long to figure out what's going on. Yeah, it's just what you call that gut feeling. That gut feeling I used to get in tournaments sometimes too. It's kind of like you just ain't doing something right, man. Stick to the basics, stick to the basics. You know, and all these rods back here, rigged up with all the stuff. I done put everything up, put the lines back on, packed them up basically. Because after a little while, my brain started screaming, spinner bait and Senko, spinner bait and Senko. What are you doing? Just catch some fish, man. So yeah, single bladed black spinner bait with a zoom split tail trailer, and a black and blue flake Senko, weightless. You know, the cool thing about this spinner bait is I let it sink to the bottom, and I'll pump it like I was doing the other day at the down here. Man, I lost a good fish on one of them because I forgot to sharpen the hook. That's what I get. So let's see if we can catch some fish now. Man, I'm going to tell you what, this is slow. There's hardly any current out here at all. I mean, I'm just barely drifting. I can't even tell I'm even moving unless I'm looking at the trees and seeing them move on the bank. But I'm fishing this Senko weightless in deep water. Yeah, I'm throwing it up on the bank, and I contemplate on putting a rattle in it. I don't really squirrel fishing. I don't really shake it or anything. I just kind of just twitch it a couple times and just let it keep on falling. But I might put a rattle in it. We'll see. Okay, I figured I'd throw a rattle in here. I figured I'd show you guys how I put a rattle in a Senko. I use a 4mm rattle. You can get them in 3/4 and 5s. And I use an 1/8 ounce brass tube. I just took some duct tape, put a handle on it. And I like to put my rattle in here, between the hook point and the bend of the hook. And I actually do this at an angle. I don't try to get straight across. I just go at an angle in the Senko just to get that rattle in there. And basically I'm just cutting it, keeping that angle. And when you get to the bottom, just right here, just push on it. Take your plastic out. See that? And you'll see the angle I have that cutter at. You take your rattle, point first if you got it, wet it. It'll slide right in that Senko, all the way from front to back, or top to bottom, however you want to look at it. And you can't even tell I got a rattle in there, but you can hear it. Hear that? So now I got a rattle in there. You're probably thinking, does it add a little bit more weight? It probably adds a slight little bit of weight, I'm sure, within a few tenths of a gram or something. But honestly, as long as you're using that super line hook, it's giving the weight it needs. So, give this a whirl, see if it helps us any. Oh yeah, and in case you guys are wondering where my life jacket is, I got one of those waist packs. I just got tired of having that thing around my neck, around my shoulders and everything. So if you do a lot of kayak or canoeing, having the waist pack type of life preserver is really nice to have. They're expensive, but they're worth it. Well, tried the deep water. I had one hit a Senko, but he never hooked himself. He ended up spitting it out once he realized he was hooked. It was one of those kind of hits where he clamped on it so hard, I actually just had him by the face. And he eventually just went psh. So I'm going to fish the shallow side of the dam, which I haven't done in quite a long time. But it's full of brush, so I've switched to a double-bladed spinnerbait to keep it up a little bit. I can kind of flutter it through the brush. And this is an old Strike King. It has a loop tie, not the R-bend. And it's about a 3/8 to a 1/2 ounce model. Has more of the teardrop type blade. So I'm going to go with this. Still stick with that Senko. Throw around this brush and see what happens. Alright. Well, they do hit when a train's going by. Ain't he a beaut? Look at that dude. Nice bass. Sweet. Thank you. You know, guys, that's a perfect example right there of why I went barbless. I never felt that bass hit. I just seen my line slowly swimming away from me. That's why you've always got to be a line watcher. And that hook had just gotten down to his gullet. I was able to spin that hook around and pull it right out and release that fish. That's the that's the advantage to going to a barbless hook. And really all I've done is just taking a pair of pliers and smashed it. See? Just smashed it. Now you got to keep tension on them. You can't, when a bass hits, you can't just let them play and give them some line, this, that, and the other. You got to keep pressure on them, otherwise he'll just go. But that was good. I just came around the bend of the dam and seen this brush pile sitting here. I had one, and he pinned me up behind a log, and I got him back over the log, then he spit it out. And the hook never even came out of the Senko. So that tells me he grabbed it and was just holding on to it tight. But that fish was actually a better fish. That fish was right about 2 pounds. So it's going to be a Senko day. I done put everything up, done put the spinner bait up. I got me a black and blue flake Senko, weightless. And yes, there's a toothpick in there. Keep it on. So I guess it's going to be shallower water and brush piles, because I'll be honest with you, on the dam I actually had another one do the same thing. He grabbed it, and I had him for a few seconds, and all of a sudden he just came off, and the hook never even came out of the Senko. So they're grabbing these Senkos and just clamping onto them like they would a jig. And all you can do is just, pull as hard as you can just to make sure you get that hook out of there. But that's just, I've never had fish, at least not 2 in one day, that just grabbed it and held it so tight I couldn't get a hook in them. So that's one of the advantages to having a braid to a leader, is to do stuff like that. It gives you just a little bit more pressure on the fish, and you get that hook to them a whole lot easier than you can with like a straight mono or something like that. Nothing against mono at all, but I'm just saying with the braid, there's absolutely no give. Just pat, especially if you got that leader on there. So I'm going to stick with more of a shallower water pattern today, and actually stay away from some of the deeper water stuff, and just hit brush piles. That's probably the best thing for me to do. Keep on getting it. Okay, the wind's picking up a little bit out here, but at least it's at my back this time, so it's not so hard to fish. But man, it kind of makes it hard to fish a weightless Senko like that. So what I've done is I got me a Texas rig. Took the same thing, but what I've got here is I've got a Gamakatsu finesse flipping hook, which I like these a lot. And again, I took the barb, pinched the barb closed, and I have an 1/8 ounce tungsten weight on here with that rubber peg system like I told you about. See how easy it is to slide up that line? But yet it stays pegged. That's what I like about it. So when a fish hits and you go set the hook, it'll take that weight up the line a little bit and hold it there. But that to me is the, if I fish a Texas rig, I like a 1/16 and 1/8. Maybe sometimes heavier on the Senko. I rarely ever fish a Senko like this. But when you got the wind coming up, main guy do what main guy do. But that's the kind, that's what I prefer right there. It's just that the straight shank hook. I don't like an EWG on a Texas rig. I think it twists your line way too much. So I'm still hitting brush in shallower water. And I found some good looking spots, but there's just nothing there. Like I said, the wind was picking up. It was getting hard to feel that Senko. So I'm going to do this right here so it gets down in the brush. Because that's where I caught those hooked those last few fish, was down in brush. So I'll keep on hitting these piles. How about that? Another good fat fish. Never felt this one hit either. Just saw my line go off to the side. Very first cast with this Texas rig. Right in a brush pile. Ain't she a beauty? And she had it down in there too. And because it didn't have a barb on that hook, bye-bye, pretty thing. And without having a barb on that hook, man, it just made it so much easier to get it out of there. I want to show y'all something. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine tell me he didn't like pegging because he wanted that line, the weight to go up the line. Look at here. Here's my hook. All the way down here is my worm and the weight. See what I mean? He had 2 foot of line. Now if I can get it off my britches, he had 2 foot of line between my hand and the hook. Isn't that crazy? The very first cast with that Texas rig. I'll take that. Well, I'm going to call it. You know, two good bass. And I stuck with my brush pile pattern. Had a couple of hits, missed them. But, which is unusual for a Senko. But man, the ones I did lose, oh my gosh, man. They were good fish. I couldn't get a hook in them. They clamped down so hard in that Senko. And when I got the Senko back up, it was perfectly in line. I mean, hook point was hardly even moved. I was like, man. So what have I learned today? I guess stick with what you know. Probably the best way to put it. You know, I've been sitting down writing out lists and trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do to simplify my tackle. And I tell you what, every time I go out, these 4 days that I've gone out during my vacation time here have really taught me a lot. Because remember, I told you one of the worst things can happen is simplify your fishing is time off the water. Excuse me, because then this starts rattling around your head to get this, to get that, to get this, to get that. And I tell you, I have really narrowed it down in my head. You know, as far as what I have confidence in, what I would throw, and the many different ways it can be thrown. And that's kind of what I've done. I've kind of put together a lot more than I thought I would. There's going to be a lot of stuff hanging up on the wall as a back burner. I'll tell you that now. There's no sense in getting rid of the stuff because down the road I might decide to use it. But yeah, it's coming down to the nitty gritty now, guys. I've got a box that I really like, and which is unusual because I have so many of my collection. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. But I'm getting down there. I'm getting it down to where I got it pretty much figured out that I'm looking at maybe even 4 rods. So, you know, these bill dances were fun today. I haven't thrown these dance classes in a long time. I'm talking long time. Probably close to 20 years since I've thrown them, and train going by. And I'm really looking forward to the ones I'm building because I'm really taking my time in building them. I'm going to go over what I did with those rods and how I built the rods to match, you know, the kind of feel that I want out of a rod. So that's going to be an interesting little topic. But that's all I got today, guys. Glad you got to come along with me and kind of swap around baits and try to figure things out and end up going back to the basics, man. It's definitely a learning curve. You definitely learn that way, and again, you should listen to yourself. That's simplify your fishing right there. Listen to yourself. Watch what you do. Watch what you don't do. That's all I got today, guys. So until next time, may the Father bless you and keep in Yeshua's name. And as always, fish on.